Good for it, sweetheart. All right, good. So you should have heard something to say you're recording. So, all right, good. So, thanks again, everyone, for joining. So, we're just going to start out, just jump straight into it. So, we're finishing up the spreadsheet, right? So, we just want to look at the final steps to finish the spreadsheet. And then after that, we're going to start and look at the web page design section, which shouldn't take very long on my side, as the instructions are rather simple. All right. So if we go through, you should already have a copy of this page that I'm showing you. So we're looking at task 3, and we want to look at D. So I'm going to highlight them in blue so that you can see what we haven't done so far. So we're looking at D, which is to sort the data, and E, which is to do a extraction for the data. And then finally, we have task 4B as well to do a pivot table. All right, so those are the 3 things that we're going to be looking at for today. And for that, to teach this, we're going to be using um, Ariel's file. This is Ariel's SB that she has done so far, right? Um, so looking at this sheet that she submitted, so we're just going to look at a couple of things. So first, we want to start out with, she asked a question. She asked a question earlier, which is something that I have spoken about earlier, but I figure I need to explain on it a little bit more now as we go forward. All right. Now, bear in mind, for this entire SB, I have pretty much shown you, held your hand and show you step by step exactly what is to be done for each part, which by right and by true, that isn't all supposed to be done. It's supposed to be a situation where I teach you to do the general things and I give you the assignment and you go out and you get it done. But because I know that some of which you're facing some challenges in that you weren't necessarily getting the full instructions in grade 10 and we weren't face to face or anything. So I know that some of you are going to have some problems if I choose to do it straight on like that, right? So I chose to do it a little bit different. I chose to just give the instructions as best as possible while allowing you to still work on your own to actually get it done. So the problem this will create now for me is that when it's time to mark your SBAs, I have to mark based on what I know that you did. And the problem with giving you all of the instructions piece by piece, step 1, step 2, step 3 is that it make it difficult for me to mark, to confidently mark you to say that you know how to do this and you know how to do this, knowing that I very well gave you the full set of instructions of how to do it. You understand? It's like I'm giving you a math formula and I show you how to do step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and then the final part. And then I have to turn on and mark it, if you understand what I'm saying. So what am I marking? Am I marking what I gave you to do, knowing that you just very well copied what I did? So it makes it a little bit difficult. So what I've done is, you see, I've tried my best to not show every single piece. There are some pieces where may allow you to use your own initiative and figure out, and use your own creativity and figure out. And then this next piece that I'm going to tell you now is one of those pieces where you have to go do some research to figure out, right? And it is one of those pieces of the SBA that gives a little bit of mark. Well, let me not say a little bit. It gives a good, but not a good amount, but it gives a fair amount of marks if you put this in the spreadsheet part. So it's something that you must do, but it's something that I don't want to teach you to do. If you get what I'm saying, I want you to use your research skills. Right now, if you go to Google, it's called absolute cell referencing. And if you go to Google right now, um, hmm, sorry, one second. If you go to Google right now, right. If you go to Google right now and type in absolute cell referencing, or even YouTube for that matter, and type in absolute cell referencing for spreadsheet for Microsoft Excel, you're going to see thousands and thousands of recordings teaching you and showing you exactly how to get it done. So I am not worried at all that you won't be able to find the material. I'm very confident that you will, right? So what I'm going to show you now is why you need to use absolute cell referencing, right? And the importance of using it, right? So for example, she was asking me, Ariel was asking me earlier, if she do this formula right here, so I assume you're seeing the screen. If you're not seeing the screen, talk, but I assume you're seeing the screen. If you use this formula right here, so right, for the room type. Yeah, come on. If she uses formula right here, so for the room type, ignore but up on the left. Let me try to show you an example. If you use the formula here, so for the room type, right? This formula is correct for the first one. If statement equal if that, if that, right? Good. So it works because you get the answer based on the number of visitors, right? So this is working fine, right? So she's asking, if she go to the second cell again, does she have to type in back the equal if and go through the whole routine again? And the answer is no, because if we had 1,000 names right here, so and 1,000 reservations here, so I wouldn't be expecting to sit down and type in equal if for all of them. That would make the whole thing pointless, right? So the simple way is that Microsoft Excel has a feature where I can go right here. So once I have done the first one and know that it's correct, I should be able to go right here. So you see this little square in the corner here. So, all right, you see this little square in the bottom right corner of this cell that is highlighted. I should be able to put my cursor on it like this. And when it turns into a black cross like this, I can hold it down and pull it down and cover the entire year that I want it to go. And it should copy the first one down to all the others. But as you will see, when I let this go now, I get 0 for them. You
Sir,
see that? Yes.
sir, I go put a number sign, sir, in front of them before
All
you
right.
do
So
that.
yeah,
No.
all right, yeah. So keep that to yourself. Keep that to yourself. That's why I don't like keep that people in thing, you know. All right. So what is supposed to happen is that you're supposed to get the room types for each of them going down, right? But if you do it with the cell as it is with the formula exactly like what I showed you, you're going to end up with errors like this, right? Because what the computer is doing is it's reading going down, one by one going down. So when you copy going down like this, in the key around here, so it is copying going down like this as well. That's why I said the executive suite, then the blank, then the tax, then the discount. Because see the same thing here, so blank, then the tax and the discount. Because that is what it's trying to do. So with the absolute cell referencing tells the computer that while I'm copying down these cells in the key sheet, I want it to remain one place. So as it is now, the computer is copying down what you have here. So, and then when you go to the next line, it copy like this. And when you go to the next line, it copy like this. So it continuously pushing down 3 lines like this, pushing. So for every line that you're going, it's going down like this. That's why eventually you start get 0 because every line you're going, it's going down like this. Right? So you need to put something in your formula that is going to tell the computer on the key sheet remain one place. So that is what the absolute cell reference is going to do. So it's called absolute cell referencing. Right? So that is what you're going to Google or YouTube preferably. YouTube that, find out what it's talking about, how it is done, and apply it to your spreadsheet. All right. So when you finish, let me see if we can undo some of this mess that I've done. Okay. All right. So when you finish, it should work like this one. This is the same sheet that she had. This is the same sheet that Ariel had, but I copied it and fixed it up for my purpose to how I want it because I never want it to look identical to her one. Right? Sorry. So in my one, when I select this same room type here, so you're supposed to just go down and copy everything down. So even if let me just show you an example quick. So even if I delete it, I can just copy back the same one down to the rest of them, and all of them will coming back, right? So that is by me using the absolute cell referencing, right? So you will do that, and then when you do that, okay, you have to do that first. So when you do that, then you will be able to do the other things that I'm about to show you to know, right? So the instructions here, sort the data in the spreadsheet by last name, then by first name. So if we look at what we have here, it's asking you to sort it by last name. So if you look at the list here, so you'll see that everything here says mixed up. You have Blake, which is B, then you have P, then J, then W. You understand? So all of these names are not in order. So I want to sort everything in alphabetic order, meaning from A to Z. So the person who names that begin with A is supposed to be at the first, and then B, then C, going all the way down. So if I have Blake here, so the next person this is supposed to be Brown, and then going down in that order, right? So first thing we want to do, we want to copy the entire set of data that we're using. The entire set of data meaning from title going all the way across with all of the headings in the sheet, and then going all the way down to all of the names in the sheet. So all of this should be highlighted from the very last name and data, go all the way up, including the heading. I know it's kind of difficult now to see that the heading is highlighted, but the heading is in fact highlighted. So you can see that it begins in 4 over on the row side here. So from my sheet, it's from A4 to S34. Right? So you're going to highlight all of that. Right? Next thing you're going to do, go to sort and go to, it's going to ask sort by, right? So in the question, it says sort the data in the spreadsheet by last name, then by first name, right? So sort by last name, add a level, because we need a next level here to say sort by first name. So we add a level, and then by first name. So what this is going to do, it is going to sort it by last name, and then by first name, meaning that if there are 2 persons that have the name Brown, it will put Amanda Brown before it puts Kevin Brown, because A for first name and K for first name for Amanda and Kevin. So if you have 2 persons with Brown, you're going to switch to the first name to sort it by the first name as well. So you'd have Amanda Brown that come before Kevin Brown. All right. So over here, so now it show the order that you want to order it by. You can put it from Z to A, but in our case, you want it from A to Z for both of them. So once you have sort by last name, sort by first name, A to Z, then you can just press OK. And when you look at the data here, you see that it's sorted by last name. Everything will be sorted. All right. Good. So now you see that Anderson, then Barrett, then Blake, then Brian, then Brown, then Bruce, Campbell, going all the way down, and it's in alphabetic order, which is exactly what we wanted. Next thing you need to do is make sure that your data over here so didn't get mixed up, right? Because sometimes, depending on how you do it, you might accidentally only sort this. So let me just undo what I just did and show you how that can accidentally happen. Come on. All right, so I bring it back to the original state where it's mixed up, right? Sometimes students just go like this. because I said sort by first name and last name. They sort, they just block the first name and last name only. And when you do this, you get the same options. And you still going to get last name, you're still going to get first name. It's just that only this data is going to get sorted, and the rest of the data over here so is going to remain the same. So what that means now is that everything is going to get mixed up, because what originally was Jane Blake information here, so, and this name when it come here, so, but the Jane Blake information is going to remain in the line, if you get what I'm saying. So it's only going to sort the names only when you do it like this. So you don't want to do it like this. Make sure that when you're sorting it, sorry, you start from title all the way over with the heading, block everything, and go all the way down to everything, right? So you're blocking the entire set of data that you have in the spreadsheet from title go all the way over to amount to the page, including your data heading up at the top here. So, and again, you go to sort by last name, other level, and you sort by first name. All right. So once you press OK and it comes up like this, then you're good to go. You can do a visual verification for this as well. So Patrice Anderson, um, says 7 nights using credit card. So you can just look back at the previous reservation too for Patrice Anderson just to make sure that you have the correct information. Here's Anderson. Anderson is 7 nights, right? So we see that it's the same
Sure.
set of information. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So
Go ahead.
this way show this way show sir, it will depend all of the reservation.
The what? Go again.
Sir,
Say again. Go again.
this
Mm-hmm.
you're showing us now, sir. Supposed to do it on
Mm.
all the reservations, so like reservation one,
No,
two, and
only
reservation.
no, only the no, only the completed one. Only the reservation complete. Because you see start
Oh,
from
okay.
three, start from task three, where it asks for reservation complete. So from reservation complete only. Sorry. All right. So that is a sort. Next thing this is asking, it is saying that, so we'll do this. So this is good. So we can set that good. Next thing, local visitors that travel with children may qualify for a tax refund. It is asking you to extract all the data for local visitors with children and place them on a new sheet. Right? Look at that for a second. Extract all the data for local visitors with children and place them on a new sheet. Right? So what this is asking that for all the data that you have here, so they want a list of all the local persons. How you know who is local here, so? How you going to know who is local?
Sir, who from Jamaica?
Good people from Jamaica. And the persons with children, number of children, right? So as long as you have greater than one, the number of children, and you're from Jamaica, then you will be on the list. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to create a new sheet. So you see basically insert worksheet icon right here, so create a blank sheet. That is the first thing. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to set up a criteria. The criteria is what I am looking for. So I am looking for regions with JA, and I'm looking for a number of children greater than zero. All right, greater than zero because I'm saying people with children. So long as you have one or more children, then you should be on it. All right. So I want the criteria. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to cut. I can type it in. I can type in the criteria, but with Excel kind of funny because if you make a mistake, or if I type, let me show you what I mean. So first I want the heading with the region, right? So if I go over here, so and I type region, right? But if I Let me try zooming that closer so I can say exactly what I'm saying. If I type region like this, right? We see where the cursor is flashing. But if I accidentally put a space right there, so I just use a space bar to put a space right here, so right? So visually to you, it's going to still look like a region, you know. But to the computer, this is a region with a space. So it's going to be looking for two different things right here, so even when I press enter, it look like a region right here, so right? But if I double click in the cell, it's going to show me that there's a space. So to eliminate this error any at all, anywhere that I'm using data that I'm taking from one place to the other, I like to copy to ensure that it's the same data I'm using. So in this case, I'm going to copy the heading from here, so which is region. I can just click on it and go home, copy it, go back to my sheet, pick where I want it to go, and paste. So I'm getting the exact thing, right? So I'm not supposed to have that problem. Same thing for the number of children heading. The number of children, I click on it, copy it, copy the heading, go to the sheet, click in the cell where I want it to go, and press paste. So now I have the two headings. I have region and I have number of children. So these are the headings. The criteria now, criteria is what I am looking for. Under the region, I am looking for JA. Sorry. Now, again, the same error can happen with this. So if I put JA here, so, and I accidentally put a space here, so that's going to give me a problem as well. So if I have JA on the sheet already, I just want to just copy that one, just to eliminate any problem like that. And I'm sure some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because some of you had this problem with the other pieces that you were working on before, and we have to help you correct. So now we can see that the region that I'm looking for is JA. The number of children that I'm looking for, in this case, I have to type in this. I'm going to say greater than 1. But this is my criteria. I'm looking for all persons with region from JA and number of children greater than 1. All right, so this is my criteria. Can fix it up a little bit like that. Just select it look neat. I like when my sheets look neat and presentable. So that is my criteria. Good. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to do an advanced filter. All right, advanced filter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to data and the menu bar, data. And I'm going to go to advanced. And I'm going to see a box come up like this. So this is my box. So what it's asking me is that it's asking me if I want to filter the list that I have, I want to copy to another location. The list that I have is on the reservation complete sheet, and I don't want to mess with that. So I'm going to copy what I'm extracting to a new location. So here it's giving me 3 options, 3 things that I have to fill in. The list range, the criteria range, and where I want to copy it to. All right. So the criteria range is this, right? So if I click in the box here, so the criteria range is this. I can just highlight this straight off. A5 to B6. Right? So here it is, sheet 2, A5 to B6. This is my criteria range, which is right here. I just highlighted it and it come up by itself, right? I want to copy to with a blank space on my sheet. So I want to copy it. I want to copy it down here, so in A10. So this is where it's going to be copied to. And the list range now is where I am looking. So I'm looking in the sorry, the reservation complete sheet. So I want to click in here now, cursor flashing, and I'm going to switch over to my reservation sheet, reservation complete, and then the list range is going to be everything highlighted, including the heading. So I'm going to start from title all the way over and all the way down and it's going to be everything highlighted here. So it's going to search through everything right here, so for the criteria, and it's going to put it in the space that I just specified. So when I press OK now, this is supposed to search through this entire list. It's going to look for everybody from JA that has children, which is more than 0 children, and it's supposed to put it on that list. So when I press OK, this is what comes up. So this worked perfectly. So this is telling me that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 persons that are all from JA that have children. So that's what this is actually telling me. There are 6 persons from JA that have children. So this is perfect as it is. If you know,
why not so much?
yeah, I realize. So you see this number sign right here. So some person was asking me about it. When you see the number sign here, so it doesn't mean that the columns are too narrow. So you can just widen out the columns so that it can display what you want it to display. All right. So this is perfect for me. So this is showing me that there are 5 persons from my sheet that match what I am looking for. So once you get this, then you know you're on the right track. Bear in mind now, you will end up with more or less than what I have. So for the data that you put in, you might have more Jamaicans that have children than I do. So you might have 10 or 15 persons in this list. There are some unique situations that I know some of you might face where you might end up with a blank sheet because you have nobody that is from Jamaica that have children, if you get what I'm saying. So based on the data that you have put into your sheet, it is possible that for the persons with number of children over here, so some of them don't have no children from Jamaica. So it's possible that nobody from Jamaica have children. For this person's case now, they made sure that everybody have a child. Some of you might have 0 for number of children. So it will create that situation. So if you do this and you realize that you get a blank sheet, sorry, go back through your completed sheet and visually verify that you don't have anybody that are from Jamaica that have children. So if you look at it and you see that you have somebody that is from Jamaica right here and that they have children, but you end up with a blank sheet, it means that you did something wrong and you probably need to just rewind the video a bit and try it again. All right. But as long as you have somebody from Jamaica with children, the name is supposed to come up in the list. So the more people from Jamaica you have with children, the more names are going to be in your list. All right. So once you do that and you get it, then you're excellent and you're on your way. All right. And next piece before that is finished.
Sir, this work
After
on
that,
Google Sheets still, sir?
it should work. Yes, it should work on it. If you try it and it's not working, let me know. All right.
Okay.
All right. The next part of the question is saying, ensure to highlight the total tax amount to be refunded as well as give the sheet an appropriate name, right? Ensure to highlight the total amount to be refunded, total tax amount to be refunded, as well as give the sheet an appropriate name. So back to our sheet, the total tax to be refunded. This is the total tax to be refunded. So you can put in the formula, equal sum, highlight all their tax, and that is the total tax to be refunded. You can actually give it a name here. So total tax. All right. Good. And you can be more elaborate to this if you want. You can put it, you can probably do something like that. And understand, just make it, because it's a highlight, so you want it to stand out, right? So this is your total tax that should be refunded. In addition, you said that your sheet should have an appropriate heading. Bear in mind that we said that all our sheets should have proper headings, right? So all you have to do is just copy the heading from the last sheet, and you can paste it on here. So this wouldn't be your reservation sheet anymore. This would be your, you can name it whatever you want. You can name it your tax sheet, total tax sheet. Let's look back at the question and see what it said. It can be a tax refund sheet. It can be a tax extraction sheet. Give it a name that you think is appropriate. You don't have to follow what me say. You don't have to follow what I use as usual. Right? So I'm going to call mine tax extraction sheet. Right? So this is my tax extraction sheet. I have my criteria here, so, and I have my list right here, so. And this again will account for a decent amount of marks in your spreadsheet, right? And down here, so remember to rename a sheet. So you can rename a sheet to tax extraction. I mean that I type that. Tax extraction, right? So once you have that, you are almost finished. Final piece to do for this final piece. So this is now finished. Again, if you're having any problem, just rewind the video and watch it again. That's the beauty with recording these things. All right, so D and E are finished for task 3. The task 4, we did this part already. So we were supposed to do part D of task 4. But this is what we're going to do now. Use the data from the reservation complete sheet to create a pivot table to summarize the regions and display their totals adult, display their total adult visitor, total children visitor, then the total for the group cost, tax, discount amount to be paid. Ensure that this sheet has an appropriate label, right? So a pivot table is a feature in spreadsheet that allows you to summarize large amounts of data, right? So if I have a list with 2,000 students that did maths, English, and IT, I can use a pivot table and I can summarize it. So I can use a pivot table to show me how many persons got over 50 in maths. I can do a pivot table to show me the average for maths, English, and IT. I can do a pivot table to show me the highest or the lowest figures. I can do a pivot table to just summarize the data. So instead of looking at 2,000 set of information and then trying to figure out what the average might be, I can summarize it and see the average. And then from that, I can use that to probably go out to create charts, right? So a pivot table is used to summarize large amounts of data. So in this case, in our spreadsheet, even though it was 30 names, I'm going to consider a large amount of data. So I want to summarize this now into something that is more meaningful to me. So if you are the reservationist, this is what you're going to have in front of you working on. But if the manager asks you for some specific information or give him a summary of what happened today, you wouldn't want to send this raw as is, because he said the manager know have to go look through all of this. You don't need to say, you don't need to say some of the information. Probably he just want to say the figures, the amount of money that is coming in. That is his main concern. So you can summarize that for him so that he can see how many local visitors have, how much money they are paying, how much European visitors have, how much money they are paying, whatever the case is, right? So that's what we want to do here. So we're going to, on our reservation complete sheet, on the first sheet, we're going to go to, give me a second, where is. Sorry, sometimes I'm going to use this. Oh, see it here. Sometimes I'm going to use this thing for so long that everything just get jumbled. All right. So you're going to go to insert and go to pivot table. So it's right here. All right. So once you hit that, it's going to ask you to select a table or a range, use an external data source. No, we want to stick on this one because this is the table that we're using to complete. So we want to select that one. And we want to use a new worksheet. So we don't want to use our existing sheet. We want to use a new worksheet. So it's going to create a new worksheet down here for me. All right. So then I press OK. this is what the sheet comes up like, right? So this is, it does automatically name it sheet 3. I can rename it afterwards if I want. So this is what your basic sheet is going to come up like. And it's giving you some options on the right side for what you can put, what you can summarize, all right? So let's look back at the question so we know what we want to summarize. To summarize the regions and display their total adults and visitors, the total adult visitors, total children visitors, and then the total for the group costs, the discount, and amount to be paid. So you want to summarize starting, so you have to do this in order. So we're going to use the regions, then the total adult visitors, then the total children visitors, then the total group costs, tax, and amount to be paid, right? So back at our spreadsheet, we're going to start off with region. Then right away you say, it summarizes the region right here, so it's only get the 4 regions that you have here, so. Next we want number of adults. So you see that? It's giving me now, it's showing me now that there are 9 adults from Europe, 14 adults from Jamaica, and so on. Number of children. It's just summarizing that for me as well. Next it asks for, what the next thing it asks for? Total group cost, tax, discount, and amount to be paid. So now we have the total group cost, tax, discount, amount to be paid. You see that? So this has summarized everything. So this is telling me that from Jamaica, there were 14 adults and 23 children. They all collectively together paid $304,000. The tax was $38,000. The discount was $24,000 because I remember only Jamaicans got discount. So that's why no other region now I'm not having a discount right here. So, and they give me the total out here. So they give me the overall total. So this is telling me that overall, for all of the 30 transactions that I have around there, there was $1,053,890 collected, right? So this is the summary that I want to see, right? So to a manager, showing me all of this information right here, so it might be a bit too much, right? And this is just for 30 people. Suppose I had 2,000 reservations here, so the manager would have to just keep scrolling through 30 to 2,000 reservations. You don't need to see that. This is what the manager wants to see. The manager wants to see how much people from each region they get, how much locals, how much discount, how much tax they have to pay. This is a breakdown, the summary that he wants to see. And with the pivot table, that is exactly what it does for us, right? Yeah, it looks straightforward enough. I think you're supposed to have no issue with this. If you need to go over it again, if you need to change anything, once you select on the data, this will come back up, right? So if you come off it like this, it comes off so you can see the data. But once you select in there, the information comes up. Again, bear in mind, the information will come up in the order that you tick it. So if you start with amount to be paid and then go to tax, it's going to put it in that order. You probably don't want it in that order. You want it in the order that it was calculated and made sense. If you look here, so it didn't put on the currency for you, so you have to go put on the currency. So you block that, put on your currency. Let me not use that one. All right, so you are getting the gist of what we're doing here. You can see that it was very straightforward. Very straightforward, very easy. You're not supposed to have a problem with this. So once you complete this part, again, this is a decent amount of marks you'll be getting, right, for the summary right here. So, and again, as usual, put in your heading, put in your heading, put in your headings. Don't forget to put in your headings. All right. For this one, the heading gone not too far. I don't want to head into the all the way over there. So you can just unmerge it and then merge it back to the edge like that. Unmerge it, merge it back to the edge of the sheet like that. So everything over here, so don't need to be in it. So you can just take off that. So it looks neater. Done. So this is what your and so this will be your reservation sheet. This will be what your um the pivot table. If you want to call it a pivot table, I can call it a pivot table summary sheet. You can call it that. You can call it a summary sheet from pivot table. You know to mix it up. So make up your own names and name this appropriately. All right. You make sure your logo is on there again. And this is it. So once you have done that part, I'm going to declare this part as finished. So once you have done that, then you have pretty much finished the entire spreadsheet. All right. For the person that was asking if these features are available in the G Suite, in the Google Sheets, yes, it should be there. As I said, if you have any issue with it, contact me. If you have any further issue doing it in the G Suite, then you might have to try to get a laptop to finish it. So you might have to go borrow or go over on your friend house, get a laptop with the Microsoft one on it, do it there so, and then send it back to yourself. All right? Because sometimes it's tricky to navigate between the Google Sheets and the Microsoft Excel on the laptop. All right. So if you're having a problem with one, send it to somebody with a laptop and fix it up on their device and then send it back to yourself. All right. You sit down there and struggle with it and tell me say you never do it, whatever. You have a part to play. So you have to do what you have to do. All right. So let me just run through this quick to make sure so we have everything. You're supposed to have a reservation sheet one with just the basic information ending at room type. We also have a reservation two where we added the children costs and group costs and so forth with our formulas and functions and group costs up to group costs, right? Sorry. And then we have sorry, we have the reservation complete where we finish up all of the pieces. So we had the full tax and discount and amount to be paid. Again, I can't tell this again. Because I have to re-emphasize because I say Ariel do it like Ariel, I mean. Right, Ariel did this a while ago. When she sent me her information, let me see if I can find it now. When she sent me her information and I look at it, it look like this and it look good. So I'm clicking and I'm saying, all right, I'm seeing the formulas coming up in here. So, but when I do my little check, I realize that she just type in all of them here. So you see the if statements up here, so I see the if statement for the last two, but then she try to cheat it out and type in the ones here, so which makes no sense because you go through all of the effort, you went through all of the effort and all of the VLOOKUP and all of the other if statements and get the marks, so all of these parts here, so and then you just went cheat up on one little piece right here. So that make no sense because I just do what you give the marks right here, so. I did correct her and I know that she fixed it, so it won't be a problem. All right. So bear in mind, that's what I'm going to check. I'm not just going to look at the data here. So I'm going to visually verify that all of the data, all of the functions and formulas are typed in. So don't cheat that. All right. Make sure you have a key sheet properly labeled, showing all of the data that you're using. If you are having a problem with the VLOOKUP, something you don't see the data that is supposed to go in there, make sure that the data here so is sorted in this order from studio to deluxe to executive, all right? I've realized that when persons put it in different orders, it don't work. So make sure that it's in alphabetic order from Z to A, basically. So you're starting with the furthest one, which is studio, and the information to that, then deluxe, then executive. So you're going from Z in order from Z to A, or in this case from S to E. All right? And that will assist with that. Make sure your statistics are here as well. So you're supposed to have the formulas to put in all of the statistic information here. So again, all of this is in the videos that we did previously. Make sure you have a pie chart, pivot table. Sorry, I need to rename this. So pivot table, and then that should be that. And the reservation, this was my one. This was the one that she had. This was my one that I was working on. So don't worry if there are two of them. This is just my one. And the tax extraction, which is this tax SBA spreadsheet. Again, remember the term. Remember what I tell you for research. Absolute cell referencing, all right? And that is the part that you need to do that before you try to do any sorting or any extraction or any of the pivot table. So you have to do research how to do the absolute cell referencing, just like I tell you, before you do any of the other sorting, extraction, or the pivot table. But once you have that, you're good. And this will give you the full marks for your spreadsheet. Yeah, so that's I want to mark it over this weekend coming. So to put out some time and some effort into it and get it completed and send it to me so that I can mark it, so that I can look at it, show you any correction if there are corrections to be made to improve your mark. Because my thing is I want you to get the maximum marks possible, or full marks possible, right? So if you're sending me piece of it incomplete, I'm going to send it back and tell you, so do this, this, and this, and finish it. If it mark out at 20, and when we finish, let's say 19 marks again, I'm going to send it back and say, look, do this part so you can get the full marks. So if you keep sending it back to you, it means you need to fix something, right? So don't settle for the 19 out of 20, or whatever the case is. Make sure that you're getting a full 20, right? So at the end of the day, you're maximizing your marks and you're maximizing your chances for passing. Good? All right. Anybody have any question with this section before we close it off? Any questions? No questions?
No, sir.
All right. So like everybody have that. All right. All right. So let us stop share this. Go ahead. Talk. All right. You're ready for talk. All right. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to.
Sorry.
Talk to the man. I can ready for talk. All right. I'm going to stop recording this section so that we can split it. So we can have the web
Sorry,
pages.
man, see if you can go back on your key and something. Yeah.
On the key. That's what you say?
Sir, I thought me talk. Nah, yes, sir, I thought me talk, but you not hear me.
Yeah, you keep on a chip out. That's what I keep on answering what you're saying. That's what you want to see?
Sir, it has to go in the order, this, sir.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you. Because I realize that when some people try to do the VLOOKUP and it's not in this order, it gets some problems, right? I'm not sure why. So make sure that it's in alphabetic order from the Z side to the A side. So that's why it's in Studio, then Deluxe, then Executive Suite, and then it works. I'm not sure why. It's probably just how the feature works. All right. You have that?
Sir, but we never get in trouble when we do it the other way, sir, because we put
Well,
the
if you do
deluxe
it,
at the top.
and it work. And when you check all your prices, it match where you're
Sure,
supposed
me
to
do
get.
it.
So you
Yeah, yes, sir. We put the deluxe suite at the top, and I think I put the studio suite in the middle.
and when you look back for your spreadsheet, those who have deluxe, then get the correct price for the adult and the correct price for the children. When you finish, just go over it and verify say correct. So once it's correct, it's not a problem. You know. Once it's correct, you're good enough to worry about it. But there were some person that were having this issue. So I don't know if are the people who were using the Google Sheets or whatever. I'm not sure. But there were some person that were having this issue. So if it's working, and if when you look at your when you look at your sheet like this, if when you look at deluxe, them giving you the correct adult price and the correct children price and everything, then you're good. You don't have to worry about it. All right. All right. All right. So